particularly when you stop allowing other people in society to control you. And I also have gone to the east of the world, the earth, over in like Africa, and I was introduced to different society. And coming back, my eyes have really been open to something peculiar, because I'm interested in like the dating market, and the dating scene is really peculiar and interesting here in the West, where you have an interesting social dynamic. So once you start kind of, like I said, not allowing or distancing yourself from society and not allowing them to dictate your life, basically you realize that a lot of people think that they have the right to control you. So in other countries, like particularly in Africa, they put a lot more, they give you a lot more responsibility. So I noticed that they allow you to make decisions for yourself, right? And they actually expect you, like, I just noticed they put a lot of weight on it. Like, you can make your own decision, and then they leave you with it. Like, you really get to make it. It's not like, oh, it's like they say, like in Canada, that like, you get to make a decision, but just kidding, I'll make it for you. It's not like that. It's like you actually get to make your own decision. And then, like, so what that does is it actually, well, it's all based on like a traditional society. So what traditional means is that your family will sit you down at a young age. Like in the West, we leave it up to kind of biology, and sex kind of decides when, you know, you're a man or when you're a woman. In traditional societies, they don't do that. They actually sit you down and say, this is how you should be as a man. You should be responsible, this, that, and they basically explain it very well. So that's why when you see an immigrant coming to Canada or something, they have a confidence that, you know, that we don't have here. That's why the main idea of this video is that American masculinity is like a performative, like egotistical masculinity. Like someone says, hey, you don't have a good car or something, then you feel that you need to prove that you do. So like, you're not a man if you don't have this good car. And so we get our masculinity based off of what we do. If we're good at singing, or if we're good at, you know, sports or something, and we challenge each other in competition, and if your team's better than mine, and, you know, you're more masculine or whatever. So we have like this competition, this egotistical masculinity, where in other cultures it's based on how responsible you are. If for a woman, have you had children? Are you a good mother? And things like this. So we allot the same value to everybody. As women, they get the same value. It doesn't matter if they've produced children, if they're a good mother. They just get it because they're good looking, or because they get more attention than others. So what that creates is an interesting dynamic. It's so socially, where like basically society can control you based on what they say about you. So if they say, look, you're not doing good today, you're dressed too good, you're trying too hard, then you will tear yourself down. So if you dress good and you just did it because you were feeling confident, you wanted to look nice, present yourself for work, and then the people at work, they say, you know, they don't feel comfortable, well, obviously because you look maybe better or good, or make them look like, I don't know what they feel, but for whatever reason, they can use this social control to say, look, he's trying too hard, and they'll make you feel bad for it, or feel like your ego, they'll hit your ego, because that's what it is. They believe that you're doing it to prove that you're a man or whatever. So that's easy to attack that, because that's an ego. So it's a really interesting thing, because you can actually control society this way through a social, and it's based on like validation and things like that. So that's really interesting, because once your eyes are open to that, you realize like how much control women really have in the dating market, because all they have to do, anyway, we'll get into that in another video, but basically it's like all they have to do is tell you that, you're not good. And then if you try to prove yourself, they have emotional control over you. So therefore, they do it as a test to see, am I good enough? Because if they can get you to prove yourself, then that means in their mind that, they are not as bad as they thought, So every time that they knock you down or get you to prove yourself, you're proving to them that they have power and that they are worthy of a relationship with you. So it's not that they actually want a relationship with you, but it's that they want to see if you're still willing to let them have control over you. So it's an interesting dynamic, because in traditional societies, women would do this if their man was more valuable than them. They do it inside the relationship. They don't do it just out in public or at work or anywhere. They do it with their husband, and they only do it if they feel less valuable than him. So it's called like testing, right? So if there's a more powerful man and a less powerful woman, or not powerful, but valuable, like, because of hypergamy. So a woman sometimes would be less valuable than a high value man. So really in a good high functioning society, the man and the woman should be on the same value, so that they can add and subtract and help and succeed together, and they don't tear down and disrespect each other. But what happens if the man is a little bit more valuable? The woman will say, hey, but you're not this good. And if he tries to prove, or she can control his emotions, she knows, okay, maybe I am as good as him. So basically, that's why you don't want to be too high valuable compared to your wife or your woman. But basically, what is really what is easy to see in the West is that women do this to every man. So every man is now basically in some function or format of a relationship with a woman. So that is really interesting to think about, that's why you get simps in things, because they feel like they're in a relationship with every woman, because technically they are, because every woman is open on the marketplace, because they think that they because they can test guys, and that traditionally is only for in the home or only in the marriage. So it's a really messed up, it's really interesting, and once you see that, you realize how much control society really has over men, because if they keep trying to prove themselves or performance, because a lot of guys blame girls and say, she gets her validation, she's so bad because she gets attention and validation. Well, guys are doing the same thing. They're using their ego to prove their masculinity. So if they work out, then they're masculine. If they fix cars, then they're masculine. But all someone has to do is say, hey, you're not that good at fixing cars, or you can't lift that much, and then they get spun into a performance masculinity. So it's a performance. It's not to do with your heart. It's not to do with your responsibilities, with your relationship with God, with your family. It's to do with like what you look like to others. So it's the exact same thing that women do. But women they feel innocent, because that is how women are actually supposed to be led. So I guess it's kind of more of a weakness for men than it is for them. So even if they're more aware of it, because of, like I mentioned, the relationship dynamic of the less valuable woman testing the less valuable man, then basically they don't feel like they're doing anything as guilty as the man is by being led and controlled by validation like that. So anyway, that's the gist of it. Yeah, that's the gist of it. And I just realized that not only does the government control the people, but also society and social situations try to control men, and of course women as well. It's just that women get their more importance, their whole life's value from men. So that's why it's interesting, because that's such a disrespectful test that occurs by society. I mean, it's not just women that do it, it's society in general. They do it to see if they can test you, to get you off balance, to see if they have control over you, because you'll notice people from very, very low valuable families or places, cultures, they'll come and they'll really disrespect and really make you feel bad and really make you feel guilty, like I don't know why they just put a lot of guilt on you for no reason, and then you're like, whoa, why do I feel so guilty when I interacted with this person? But it's because in this culture, in our society, we don't have a caste system. We don't have like one person is lower than the other. We all are supposed to be the same. So people that come from these traditional cultures, they're like, okay, so I don't do anything. I do nothing basically. I don't work. I don't have any value. My family's from like a very, very humble, poor. We never had done anything successful in our lives. And now I'm in one of the greatest countries in the world and has access to everything. And I'm just as good as the person who's been here building and working, functioning, doing everything. So they get so disrespectful because society told them like, hey, you're just as good as this person who's so valuable in community and everyone depends on him to pay for his taxes and everything. So these people, they're just as important and they feel better. They feel entitled that they're more important than you. So they disrespect because it's that same dynamic that they're not as valuable. So they have to prove that, you suck. So then you try to, make up, and it's just a whole like emotional workout for you to try to, get yourself back up, because it's easy for them to tear you down because they're from a lower, valuable thing. It's like they hate you already because you're better than them. So it's easy for them to tear you down, but now you have to build yourself back up. And in doing so, you're technically proving that they are almost on your level because you basically tried to prove to them that you're valuable. So it's a really interesting dynamic to understand, like the value of each person and social value. So I don't know if I'm going to post this because I don't know how many people understand this. So it's kind of like a teaching moment, I guess. But anyway.